Welcome back to day 3 of the NASPA Games Scrabble Players Championship 2026 in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm here with Will Anderson, Josh Sokol here. All day, it's going to be us calling the matches. How is it going, Will? Are you excited or what?
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here, Josh. Thank you so much for having me. And I've been catching as much of the action on the first 2 days as I can. There have been some incredible games already. And that's only halfway through. So, with 2 days in the books and 2 to go before we determine our finalists, there is still so much to play for. These games are going to get more and more impactful as the day continues along. And really excited to be alongside you, buddy, to catch all this action.
And for those wondering, again, the format 28 games and then a best of 5 finals. In terms of who we're going to be featuring, it's going to start being pretty much the top table every round, at least after lunch, because things are getting really, really tight up there. And the lower games are pretty much not going to matter at some point. But in terms of a lower table, we're going to choose table 4 for the first matchup rather than table 1. Why is that? Mack Meller versus Joey Krafchick, the two top-rated players in North America, top-rated players coming into this tournament as well, are struggling a little bit after 2 days. One of them has to cannibalize the other, Will.
Yeah, it's not the matchup that either of those two is looking to see to kick off day 3. Both of them are still right at the top area of the standings. They are a couple games back from the leaders, but certainly well within both of these players' abilities to go on a huge run today and tomorrow and leapfrog everybody ahead of them and try to secure that spot in the finals, one of those top 2 coveted spots. But it is going to take very good day 3 and 4 for either of these two. Starting off on the right foot will go a long way for either of them.
That's right, and I think we have the updated standings for you guys. If the producer wants to show those on the screen right now, who is in first place? Jason Lee, my clubmate from Montreal, is at 11-3, 11 spread points atop Joey Malik, who we saw finish the day with a loss yesterday against Joey Krafchick. So he's also at 11-3, just very much in it. Second place, Ori Swift in third place. Evan Chester, the new phenom, in fourth place. Yeah, Joey in fifth, Mack in seventh, Chloe Fatsis sixth.
Yeah, it's a star-studded lineup at the top of the standings here. A lot of chalk here in terms of the top seeds doing well. Really, the one really surprising result so far, you always expect to see Jackson Smiley among the top, but he has had a rough start to this tournament. We'll see if he can put together a really hot day 3 and 4. But apart from that, these are pretty much the top seeds right around where you would expect. The order still a little bit jumbled up, I should say. As we mentioned, Mack and Joey K, the two top seeds in the field. They are not the top 2 ranked players in the standings right now. But sometimes, Josh, that's why we play 28 games instead of 14. Let's see if either of these two wind their way further up the standings. But you mentioned Jason Lee. Jason Lee definitely more than just a clubmate for you, Josh.
Absolutely, and as we just want to mention the last 3 people, 8, 9, and 10, Jerry Lerman, John Lubkeman, Chris Cree from the previous generation of players, doing quite well in the standings as well. But yes, Jason Lee, for me, more than just a clubmate, he was my mentor. He taught me how to be a top player as he was soaring up the rankings himself. He ended up playing for the championship in 2014. If he won his last game against Conrad Bassett-Bouchard, he would have been national champion that year, but he did lose. So he's vying for another attempt this year. He's quite sharp. He spent a little bit of time on vacation in his home country of Mauritius, but he kept studying. He's really in good form, and we can see it. He's at the top of the standings. So we'll be following his progress for sure in the next few rounds, as well as Joey's, Ori's, Evans. But Joey Krafchick, a game and a half behind. So you see that 1 next to the 4, that's a tie. We can hand to the board, the players are ready to play, but a tie means that you don't have to worry about wins or losses. Just have to actually, you do have to worry about wins or losses. You don't have to worry about tiebreak. Uh, Mac 2 games behind the field. So yeah, you're right. It's nothing crazy, but they need a good day 3 or day 4 to be in the finals. Joey going first in this game, Will. A little bit of, I guess, luck of the draw there. 55% of the time, the player going first will win the game against an equally strong player. So we'll see if that works out for Joey this game.
Yeah, I was really curious about that. I made a video on that effect of going first and what, how to break down that advantage. And really, it boils down to the chances of you getting one more turn than your opponent in the game. So, something that we may see come up later. Ooh, interesting draw for Joey. Looks like he is close to a bingo, but for the worldwide audience out there, he does not have one, and he's going to be looking to play short or exchange almost certainly here, Josh. So, yeah, kind of a tale of two racks as both players drawing the nucleus of a good bingo rack, but maybe not quite that 7 letter word.
And wow, we see a very quick decision to exchange just an I. How fast could Joey Krafchick have gone through the alphabet and figured out that he gets a 7-letter word with enough tiles here? This looks like a very strong play. I was also thinking about exchanging the second E,
Yeah, for
but
sure. That's tricky to calculate, but he has done it extremely fast. And Joey, I do associate as being a very, very fast playing player. That's not going to throw Mac off as well. Anybody that watches Mac on YouTube knows he is an unbelievably gifted blitz player. But actually, Josh, you were saying it yesterday, as fast as Mac can play and as fast as he generates options, he thinks so deeply about each move that sometimes you may see him get into some time pressure down the stretch of a game just because he's evaluating those options on a level so deep that most of us can't really appreciate.
yeah, that's a very good point. As we see already a minute gone by, I feel like if Mac had gone first, he would make this decision a little bit quicker. But after the exchange one, there's a heavy signal that Mac is getting that Joey's really close. So the play of Yiend or Yenta, which you would normally want to play here just for points, becomes a lot less good when you infer that Joey is very close to a bingo. Every single prime tile you give back in this position is going to increase Joey's chances of getting an 8-letter word and getting that 50 extra bonus points. So I'm wondering if Mac's going to pivot here. I'm feeling like playing YE for 10, even exchanging YE might be an interesting choice. But we'll see what he does. He's already taken 2 minutes. Joey's drawn the second Y, which is probably not what he was looking for.
Yeah, so many tiles would have given Joey a not only a 7 letter word, but even failing that would have allowed him to respond to a play like this from Mac with an 8 letter bingo. It doesn't look like he is going to have a bingo here, which is going to be a huge relief to Mac. I'm sure what Mac is thinking with this play of Yiend, which under normal circumstances looks like a great play and may well be the right play here. But as you said, Josh, it puts a lot of really nice bingo letters onto the board that are going to increase Joey K's chance of bingoing in response. Mac may be thinking that his odds of playing a 7 letter bingo after an exchange one are high enough that there's no real need to sacrifice too much here in order to prevent those 8 letter bingos if you're just going to get hit with a 7 anyway. So that could be what Mac's thinking. But meanwhile, Joey, with that Y draw, is going to have to improvise and figure out a way to get that first bingo down.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting metagame. We saw it in a previous game, Joey Krafchick versus Jason Lee, where an exchange one, then an exchange one happened. And it's funny, Joey Krafchick could respond in turn with Yiend himself through the A, just to do a little joke. That's definitely not the right play here. But yeah, a couple of overlaps are possible. Joey looking at Yenta on the right of the Y-E-A-N. And Yeti is also an option. I kind of prefer Yeti on the left side, making Y-A-E-N-T-E and I-D. But maybe just dropping the Y and the E is also strong here. Just keeping a really strong nucleus of tiles, D-E-I-N-T. So that's what Joey opts to do instead of overlapping. He really wants to bingo Stoon, 14 points for Y-E-A.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Get rid of the Y, the weakest bingo tile, undouble the two E's. You've got a really good chance of plucking a 7-letter bingo from the bag or potentially an 8 through the still unobstructed E and D. And there we go. Nice pull for Joey. So he should be looking at bingos here, Josh, unless Mack can find a way. And Mack should still be very much in block mode after exchange one and then a play of just a Y and an E from Joey. So if ever Mack would find a way to block the board up as much as possible, now might be the time.
Yeah, would EEW from the E and Yay block Joey's bingos here?
Oh, wow. Something like that would be very reasonable as a blocking play here. Of course, it is worth noting that Mac has quickly spotted what looks like a great equity play of just AW underneath the Y and E of Yay. This is a solid play. It's not going to block nitrided through the T of Yiend at the very least, and there may be other options as well.
Yeah, Inditer and Nitrided will fit now, but after EEW, I think Joey was actually without a bingo. But in terms of this play, Max may be thinking, well, if Joey bingos, it's going to be somewhere not so good, and I can bingo through that with my very strong leave of C-R-E-E-T. Of course, A-C-E-R-T would have been a stronger leave, but AWN scoring 24 points rather than scoring only 15 with EEW. That's a little bit too many points to sacrifice. And Mac has seen a very good draw. He has Reenact as a 7. He's going to be able to respond to Joey's bingos for sure.
Yeah, so we see nitrided set up on the rack, inditer going down from that D of Yiend would open up the triple a little bit. Well, this is still a lucrative opening. I shouldn't say it's not opening anything, but at least you're not getting hit with the dreaded triple triple, which, by the way, Joey also has to be inferring strength from Max previous play, just a 2-tile play. So placing an R in the triple lane with inditer, definitely not advisable. Would have given Mac not a triple triple, but very big bingos, such as recreant through that letter. So yeah, a lot of action here. KG opening, Josh. It's opening up quickly to bingos.
Yeah, this is a very common outcome in top level games. A little bit of shimmy shammy, a small exchange, small plays, maybe one big play, and then just a bingo and a bingo response. So Centiar for Mac, he understands that the I in Nitrided opens a humongous scoring spot. And instead of playing something like Crenated or Cantered to the D in Nitrided, Centiar, that opens a little bit more in terms of, I guess, bingo chances for Joey. That R in the double-double lane is a little bit dangerous, but I think you have to just take out that I and play something like Centiar Creatine. And if you play Creatine, that's setting up a huge S-hook. So I think this is the right bingo for Mac.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Agree with that. It does, as you said, point out this this R. It looks like for whatever reason my telestrator's not showing up, unfortunately, but maybe we'll fix that on a break. But the main thing that Joey is looking for right now is the R of Sentier, just making sure that he doesn't have a play spanning 2 double doubles. I think as quick as both of these two players are at generating their candidate options and finding all of their bingos, even with a blank in hand, I do think we're going to see Joey sort of rule out the possibility of plays like that and make a relatively quick play here. However, his best play, this is where champions are made here, Josh, because He has a 74-point bingo through the E of Yiend, but maybe that's the best play. There is one higher scoring bingo than that, not by much, but a much higher degree of difficulty.
Yeah, so something through the E of Yiend available, something easy like Mentored to the D of Nitrided available. Joey has probably generated pretty much every single one of his choices quite quickly, but with a blank, you have to be careful. You have to make sure you're looking at all the nooks and crannies on the board. And you also have to make sure that Remoter does not take an S, which I'm pretty sure Joey knows. He's lined up Tremored. That's a play through the R of Centiar, but it is not the play you're talking about here. But it might be a little bit safer than Entoderm through the N of Nitrided, setting up a big triple. But I think this might be a slight inaccuracy.
Yeah, Entoderm right here would have been absolutely stunning. Yeah, that would just be crazy to see. So I don't necessarily think it's the best play, but Telomere would have scored similarly. So a little bit of a point sacrifice for potential board position here, which makes some sense for Joey, though the score of the game is still quite close. So it could go either way on that one. And meanwhile, over to Mack, and he has some serious problems to unravel here, Josh.
Yeah, very, very weird draw here for Mack. The first play he's generated is Jive to the E of Centiar, getting rid of that awful V, but opening up a huge triple. Right now, the state of the board is such that bingos are probably not going to fit. There are a couple triples open right now. The R in Tremored opens a 5-letter spot. On top of the D in Nitrided, you can play a 6-letter word starting with a vowel. And those aren't super, super great spots, but after you put a J out in space with Jive, it's almost certain that Joey's going to respond in turn with an easy play from the J. So looks like Max pivoted away from that. He's looking at Jiao now, which plays really, really nicely through the A of Centiar, making NIT and TOE, but it keeps B, C, V, Z. And although that's a nice rhyme, is hardly a nice leave. So I'm not sure what I would do here. Zhao looks okay, but you need vowels. Maybe Jai-V instead. To the Y and Yiend was what Mac was thinking, actually. Now that I look at the board a little bit more. Joey hoping for an E for belonged. That doesn't quite fit, making BEW on the top of the board. But yeah, Mac back to trying to keep his vowel. But the score difference is huge. Jive is 17, Jiao is 33. And if you could just draw an E after Jiao, you have the possibility of playing Z to the E of Centiar on the top there. Just a nice 32. So this is a very bizarre position for Mack Meller, and kind of illustrates why the play of Tremored might not be so bad. So it really doesn't create much in the way of easy scoring spots. Had Entoderm hit the board last turn, Comb or something of that nature would have fit through the M, the final tile, and scored a huge amount of points on that triple. Yeah, huge amount of time being spent on this one move for Mack Meller. Lots of heavy consonants. It's really, really hard to find moves in these positions, but here you are. Easier it is to find your candidate plays. Back under 17 minutes. He's down 21 points. So it's a very close game. When things are close like this, it's your turn. You're down around 20.
Hey, everybody. Just trying to
even
check if my audio is okay. Had a little snafu there. Can you hear me okay, Josh?
I can.
Okay, great. I should be back up and running. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, Mack decides to play Jivey, sacrificing a lot of points, getting rid of the V, keeping a vowel instead. Very reasonable choice.
Yeah, sometimes with all those high pointers, you just have to realize that scoring a ton of points with them is not necessarily in the cards, and the best thing you can do is get back to a balanced rack as quickly as possible. So Mac taking that approach, definitely a very reasonable one.
Joey looking to play to that bottom middle triple with Robed keeping GLN. There was a situation in the final round, last game that we streamed against Joey Malik, where the eyes just stayed in the bag for pretty much all of the end of the game, second half of the game. And after Robed, there's a good chance Joey draws an eye to make ING. There's 6 eyes left. He might be thinking about the last game and wondering if he's going to draw. I think he drew something like 10 eyes in the entire game. It was crazy.
That was a crazy game, and I feel like Joey navigated so many difficult turns in that game very, very effectively. That was a bit of a mind bender of a game between Joey and I believe Jason to end the stream yesterday, and it just showed that Joey, with just immense play finding and bingo finding ability, also has a very strong positional sensibility. Really showed in that game, and he plays blot here, reasonable, keeping the NG combo as you were describing, Josh, in hopes of maybe drawing that eye. Could easily happen.
This is a 7-point sacrifice over Robed, a much more defensive choice. Perhaps Joey reading wrongly into Mack's previous play and being quite worried about just blowing the bottom of the board open. I would not have done this, but it is definitely Joey Krafchick's style to take point sacrifices to create less volatile positions, especially early on in a game when the scores are close.
Yeah, it's a play that would make an increasing amount of sense if Joey's lead were even larger than it is, just because, and I'm going to give a shot at actually drawing on this board here. I don't know, something's awry. Oh, there we go. Okay, so just the play of Robed going down from this R, opening up such good bingo tiles in a much more flexible way. Yeah, the D of Robed would go in this spot, and there already is a D in Nitrided here. But that being said, the E is the major key difference between those two plays. Putting an E out in space, you are asking to get hit by more bingos than you would otherwise. So it makes a lot of sense that Joey would balk at doing that, and he's decided that 7 points is a worthy sacrifice.
Yeah, another interesting idea on this board when you're thinking about finding good plays, making the right choice. We haven't seen an S yet. Sentiar does take an S. That spot isn't huge, but we could easily see a bingo come down with an S in first, second, third, fourth position at some point, and Robed would actually deal with that consequence very nicely. But neither player has seen an S yet. Mack with another very awkward rack. You can't just get out of JVBZ easily, so he's gonna have to think about this one pretty hard. I don't really see a good move for him at all. Something like Tofu from the T and Tremor is being suggested as the top play based on points and leave by the engine, which is just
That
awful.
is,
It
yeah.
sets up Cuz, I guess, for 28. But other than that, it sets up a humongous spot for an S. There's no way Mack is making that play. Will we see an exchange instead? It is such a weird position. FUCI to the I and Jivey opening a triple for nothing. Fuse to the E and Sentiar is probably the most reasonable choice here.
This is what he has lined up. So I really feel like it's so bizarre to feel like only a whatever that is 18-point play may actually be the best in a given position holding the Z, but there is no good place to score with it. And the best thing that you can say about a play like Fuse is, yeah, you're not scoring great with your Z, but you are using up your two weakest tiles in the F and the U, and you're scoring 18 points. Doesn't sound like a lot, but Josh, you just mentioned that maybe exchanging could be on the radar here, and 18 points looks very good compared to 0.
Absolutely. And what's going on this board after the decision by Joey to play Blot, there's a lot of tension. And we see this in chess positions a lot where there's like pawns looking at each other. But in this Scrabble context, what I mean by that is the two triples that are open right now, the one on the middle right and one on the bottom middle of the board, they will almost certainly get used at some point soon. And when they get used, suddenly so much space is opening up. So whenever that happens, both players are going to want to be prepared. Either they're going to be the ones to open it, or they're going to be the ones to try and respond to the triples being used and hopefully getting the next bingo down. Right now, we've seen 3 bingos. We're probably going to see at least 2 more on a board like this one, Will.
Yeah, as you say, the board is so closed right now, but could open in a hurry if the lure of points in certain spots are just too great to turn down. So you mentioned it, Josh. There's a couple of options, a 6-letter word here, and now we're going to see just such a play. Joey playing Raved. He has that V on the rack, and this is really by far the best way to score well with it. But this is exactly what you were describing and why a play like Fuse makes sense. The leave of A, B, C, O, not that great, but it was Mack's best chance to be able to respond to an opening play like Raved. And he's drawn pretty well. Imagine if that G were something else, as Joey with Sun Gods lined up on his rack. There is a valid word in there, and I'm sure he's aware of that. But yeah, doesn't look like there's a place yet to play that. But as you suggest, board opening up a little bit.
Yeah, and Joey this time will open up the board. He has a V. He doesn't have a counter option this time of something like Blot taking out another triple. He has to play Raved and just suffer the potential consequences. And yes, there it is, lined up Sundogs. If Mack makes a play that opens a spot for an S, that will come down very quickly. So if you're Mack Meller here, you're down 36 points. And that's not super great. He's definitely feeling a little bit behind in this game, but he does have that first S. And with 3 more to come, the S isn't super valuable, especially on this board. Centiar is now no longer really a big deal. You could see something like Gobs and Centiars here, keeping the nice CAL together. You could also see a longer play, Mac going for that second blank, playing something like Boscage, Boscage to the E in Raved, though that opens a pretty nasty triple. So I'm wondering, Mac's looking at vocabs, a similar idea to spend 5 tiles, open the board a little bit, and score points without giving back a big triple to Joey. But I like Gobs here, Will.
Yeah, Gobs makes a lot of sense. Keeping things nice and tight, a little bit cagier. It looks like he's seriously considering vocabs, which is a little more aggressive, putting an S out in space like that. We'll have to see if he pivots away from this. Also, keeping LG as a leave, not quite as good as CAL after Gobs on the other side of the board. You maybe have a better chance of hitting the D, which the D of Raved and Nitrided is a very important tile right now, because if you're able to draw into a bingo ending in D, it's going to play in 2 different spots on the board. It's pretty much the only sort of activity this board has as far as bingoing before vocabs. Now you've got an S in addition to the E of Raved.
Yeah, and Joey might be wondering here, does Mac have that 4th S? Joey knows that there are 4 S's in the game. Mac's just played the first one. He has 2 of the last 3. That play sort of smells like a play you would make keeping an S and another consonant. But Mac does not have that last S. So is Joey going to be a little bit more defensive here rather than trying to set up his S. It looks like he's considering just playing Dugs and Centiars, and this time he's opening another triple, but being ahead 8 points, scoring almost 30 with this play, makes a decent amount of sense. 23 points. But Mack is going to very, very quickly find an amazing peg box through the B of vocabs. What an awesome spot, Will.
Yeah, no delay. And he needed that too. If you look at the time gap between the two players, Mack really not, I mean, the 52 points is fantastic, but getting that down within a few seconds of it being his turn was arguably just as important. He needed some quick turns in order to preserve some of his clock for those tough late game positions in a game that looks like it's going to be right down to the wire.
Yeah, wow, I did not notice how low Mac was on the clock. With a third of the game left to go, he's under the 10-minute mark. And there's a lot of complications left. So we're going to see if that comes into play. Joey Krafchick won a game pretty much because he was way up on the clock against Jason Lee yesterday. Jason struggling in the end, panicking and making some bad moves and losing the game. So Joey always uses time to his advantage. He's so fast, so strong, and Mac is 6 minutes under Joey, and he's also not in a great position with that draw.
Yeah, no question. The consonant overload is not what you want to have here, given that the obvious places that you want to play are through the D of Doug's. You're going to need at least a couple vowels to play anything strong through that. And the X of peg box, you really want to try to get several vowels to play there. But ooh, look
Look
at
at
this
this. I was
aggressive
about to
setup. We like
say,
it.
I think I know why Joey's making this play. I don't think he's happy about it, but he doesn't like the fact that he can't make a play through the X of peg box and score really well, really easily. So he's trying to eliminate that while also setting himself up. If he draws a few vowels here, he's going to be able to bingo. Wow, he's drawn the last E. What an amazing draw here for Joey Krafchick.
Great draw. Two vowels, the most important thing, and it doesn't look like he has anything with roofs, but he is going to potentially play Stentor alongside Pegbox, unless there's something even better. So even if he's not going to get a best case scenario of getting that roofs hooking play, he's still in very, very good shape, especially with Mac drawing a mismatched group of vowels and consonants. It's going to be difficult for him to make a play that he likes after that very nice play of peg box. Oh, never mind. That's great. That's by far the best.
Really, really quickly. And it's good that he got that down. And Gulf just blowing the top left of the board open a little bit and just scoring as well as he can here, but he can't feel good about the situation. That's very interesting. You know how I was saying the vocab sort of smells like another S? If that were the case, I don't think Joey Krafchick would have ever played roof. So a very, very aggressive play working out for Joey. And there's the cue for Mack Meller. So he's going to be saddled with that. This is looking very good for Joey.
Yeah, this is a huge swing. Joey getting the bingo down to jump into the lead, and Mac will now have to deal with this Q without the aid of a U or really very much to support it at all, other than an I. This could be a situation where if he has the right scoring option, he might try to keep it and hope for to get that last U or blank. But this has just gotten quite grim. I guess he could play Quinn through the U. Oh, wow. Beautiful draw there for Joey K.
It's looking really good. There are no E's left. That is the biggest problem. Mack Meller probably feeling like if he doesn't draw that blank, he will lose this game. Yeah, you can play QIIS. You can play Quinn through the U of Doug's, blocking the D of Raved, which isn't really that good of a spot anymore without a D. No, without an E, excuse me. The ED suffix, really, really important. But no E's left at this stage of the game. It's looking quite grim, like you said.
So Mac has Quinn set aside. It's really the only realistic play other than QIS into the S of Stentor or QI alongside the S of Stentor. And both of those plays may not be what Mac wants here because that area of the board is one of the few spots that, for example, the D of nitrided, I guess the D of raved again is if you're going to have one or the other of those, but at least Quinn gets rid of another tile, which is nice to try to get that blank, which you don't know Joey already has.
Yeah, if Mac does bingo here, he should win, is probably what he's thinking, with the score still kind of close, 29 points between the two players. But like you said, it's looking really grim. 13 tiles in the back. Mac's only going to get one more play to try and consolidate and draw into a bingo. HOLO, not a good leave. Joey threatening a play of HAW to the right of Stentor, which would really close the door on so many threats.
Mm.
And yeah, Mac's got to feel pretty bad about this, hoping that Joey has drawn a ton of eyes after Stentor. Again, we have this situation where it's so many eyes unseen. Do you play Quinn? Do you play QI? Leave more spots open on the board? Looks like Mac is going to go and get rid of his probably best tile in the N. I'm not really sure about this, Will. I feel like playing QI and IS might be a better choice.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's a huge difference too between playing QIS or QI and IS because one blocks one of the two Ds and the other leaves nitrided open, which could be really important for Mac to leave that tension in the position. If he were to block the D of nitrided with QIS, Joey would have heavy incentive to block the D of raved and feel much better about his chances heading into the end game. Mac drawing the
Yes.
Mac drawing an S, but really nice play. You already pointed it out, Josh, of Haw scoring well. And I really like that this play prevents Mac from placing a different letter than the H in that spot where Haw just hit the board, which would create an S hook and make life much more annoying for Joey. By placing this H here, Joey's done a great job of scoring while opening nothing new.
So now this is the most important pivotal turn for Mack Meller. He's staring down the barrel of a bag with 4 eyes, 3 A's, but also a blank. And part of his reasoning for Quinn is he's playing one more tile trying to get that blank. He hasn't seen it, but he has seen an S. It worked out okay for him, but how does he untangle here? How is he going to bingo? He's down by, I think, too much to just try and come back without a bingo, unless there's a really nice scoring play in this position, which there isn't. So a little bit scary for Mack Meller with only 4.5 minutes left. He's under 300. He's going to need a really, really good draw, no matter what he does here.
I agree. I also feel like working against him here is the fact that most of his logical scoring plays do not use an I here. It's very difficult to come up with a good candidate play. Something like HOO in the upper left corner alongside the EN and G of engulf at least scores decently. And the game is still very close to the point where, with a really good scoring tile draw for Mac, he could potentially find a way to stay in this game without a bingo just by scoring well. But it's going to be really annoying for him to make a play here that uses that I, knowing his chances of getting another one from the bag are so high. I guess we can see, though, Josh, that Joey has two of them already on his rack. That might reduce some of those chances. Maybe Mac has to play something like Who and Pray.
Is something like unis through the end of Stentor crazy to set up a good lane? I feel like nothing is crazy here. You're only down 39, but you're really, really desperate. There's 7 tiles in the bag, so the tempo is not in your favor either. And you basically need a bingo or you're gonna lose. So trying to maximize those chances right now is what Mac is looking to do. He is calculating, his brain is working. faster than any other person in the room right now, trying to find possibilities. If I play HO, what can I draw? If I play HI, what can I draw? If I play OI, LI, if I play an O and a U, he's looking at all of these possibilities to try and find a way out of this bad situation. What else is there on this board? It really feels like you can't play HOO, Will, on the top left. It feels like you have to leave as much space open as possible, but maybe Mac thinks there's a way out. Maybe he thinks if he scores something, threatens some other stuff, he can just barely come back. What if he draws the K? The K could score super well on this board. Something like Knit through the end of Stentor is possible. So maybe that's also what Mac's thinking about, but he does not have time. 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, you're totally right that a play like HOO in the upper left corner is highly anti-thematic to this position. Mac needs to leave as much room open on this board as possible. It's not a good board at all for bingoing, and you need to keep any options alive, no matter how improbable. An 8-letter bingo from the E or N of engulf is exactly that sort of improbable bingo that you're just praying you can connect on. And if you play something up there, you're continuing to winnow down your already poor options. So, all right, looks like Mac is, oh man, is he considering just playing Lino through the end of Stentor? This would be this would be completely motivated by time. He may feel like he has to do something incredibly forcing here with no real time on his clock to calculate all the close end games that could be coming. He might be about to force the issue, Josh.
Lino is an amazing play. Like we said, Mac feels like he probably needs to draw the blank to win this game. Instead, he's pivoted over to maybe NOH or OH somewhere. But Lino would be amazing if Joey doesn't have the blank. Max threatening humongous plays, that triple, not just bingos, just 50-point plays, but maybe he feels it's just not quite enough. He's pivoted over to something else, but 30 seconds left. This is Mack Meller at his most panicking. He's playing in Seoul for 21 points with 27 seconds on the clock, gunning for that blank. He will not draw it. Wow.
Yeah, purely going for that blank and hoping for the best, using enough tiles also. There's a really nice benefit of this, using enough tiles that a play like Knit or Gnar or whatever it may be through the end of Stentor is going to empty the bag, which makes it much scarier for Joey to make a non-bingo play like that. But of course, he will be able, and he has so much time to do so, he will be able to look through the unseen tiles and start to feel pretty confident that there's probably, I don't know, I'm looking through the D. I don't think I'm looking at stuff like Omphaloy. It doesn't really fit. I think the odds that Joey can suss out any possible bingos that Mac may have with this not that great unseen pool, and maybe he will feel confident to just play through that N, take
You,
a really good score,
you,
almost never get bingoed on, and seal this win.
you can't play Knit, Will. You can't play Knit. That would give back Lipomata.
Ah, okay, there we go. So
This
that's the
is
sort of thing you're looking for. Yep.
this is a really instructive moment, and we saw it in the previous game as well against Joey Malik. Joey leaving himself with so much time for the most pivotal positions of the game. And it's a tale of two clocks here. Mack Meller, such a strong player, but just not leaving himself with enough time to sort through his options in the pre-endgame where everything matters the most. This is where games get won or lost. The play of In Soul might have been really great, but Mac doesn't know. Mac was not able to look at all of the options that he had in the position. It was such a complicated one. But Joey, on the other hand, now with two tiles in the bag, has all the time in the world to figure out how to approach this situation. He's up 18 points. He has the blank. All he needs to do is make sure Mac can't score a huge amount of points and can't bingo. And he's going to be able to do that. He's looking at Knit, though. Knit would give back the possibility of Lipomata. He has to see that as a threat and pivot away from that, because I'm pretty sure there are ways for him to win 100% of the time in this position.
Yeah, the only question is if you look into those unseen tiles and you happen to see, for example, a 7-letter word that overlaps alongside Stentor, he may be looking for something like that and reasoning. And no, he's just going to go ahead. So, to your point, this is not an 100% winning play. It is a play that wins an overwhelming amount of the time, but there were miracle combinations that Mac could have had in response to this. That being said, this looks like it
Take
is
it
going to
back.
be Joey's win.
That is very surprising. He has 10.5 minutes. That is an overconfident, way too quick decision. We were talking about how the only issue Joey's experienced in these nationals is rushing, and this was a rushed play. Very surprised by that decision.
It is not going to cost him here, but you're right. That would be in the whatever percent of the time, 1%, 2% that Mac has Lipomata through the T. That is the type of crushing loss that you do not get over quickly. But in this case, and in the overwhelming majority of cases, you're going to be okay here. But yeah, let's just watch for that, I suppose, in future games from Joey. Let's hope that he does not get burned by the 1% at some point making a play like that. But overall, very, very nicely played here by both players. Mac, of course, with 2 seconds on his clock, Josh. You don't see that every day.
Well, if you do watch his channel, you see that pretty often with his touches.
True.
But yeah, very, very rough situation. Mac playing Ohio, knowing he's lost the game. Joey can just go out here, win by over 50 points. Just shocked. Will, I'm really, really shocked at that play of Nit. Because Joey's so good at finding threats, finding bingos, just looking through the pool, making sure there are no threats. He's in such a crushing position. Why not take the time to be doubly sure?
In a way, you could read it as potential confidence on his part of saying, I think I would see anything through that open tee of Nit quickly. And it just so happened that maybe Lipomata got past his notice there as he was looking. And he has that extremely high confidence level to know that most of the time, if he's not seeing something in the unseen pool, it's because it's not there. He did just happen to maybe be incorrect in this one instance. But again, we're talking about the difference between 97 or 8% win and an 100% win. Doesn't feel like a lot, but with the talent, the sheer number of good players in the field at the Scrabble Players Championship, those types of margins are what determine a lot of the time those winning margins, who makes the finals and who does not.
Yeah, Mac was around 1 in 6 to potentially have that bingo of Lipomata. Just because there's a couple ways to draw it. Maybe not that much, but you're losing the game like some percentage of the time. And we're just lucky. I mean, Joey's just very lucky that it didn't happen this time. The only explanation I would have is if he saw that Mac had an H, for example. Maybe Mac, in his panic, like dropped the H on the table. And in that case, well, Lipomata is impossible. But anyways, moving on from that, Joey Krafchick has 22 points as his highest outplay here through the O of Ohio. Peloria is his best play. Mac threatening to go out, so it is certainly not worth it for Joey to delay. And he's just going to go through every possibility now that he has still a lot of time. He's going to try and see if there's some overlap of Ohio that would score more. And Joey Krafchick going to take down the top seed Mack Meller in their first matchup on day 3 of the Scrabble Players Championship. Huge thanks to NASPA Games for sponsoring the stream. Let's listen to the overhead mic.
Finally got me.
The streak is over.
Yep.
Your win streak will start now.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh man, this was. I kept HO with this.
Yeah, that's ugly.
Did you have the? You must have had the blank, right? Because I thought about playing Lino here.
Yeah, I had the blank here with AIT
Yeah.
blank.
I had the H when I played Quinn. I thought about playing OH here, but I mean, that just gives you back too much, and then the Q is going to cause me problems, I think.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I figure here if I draw the blank and you've got like a bunch of eyes or something, I have a chance, but it's pretty bleak either way. I wanted to drop an O here and hope to draw a T for Lustyhood, but then you're just going to play here and block.
Lustyhood, that's a good one.
So that's never going to work.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lino is just too blockable. So did you have when you traded one?
Just an eye left Endite.
Huh.
It only had like
Yeah.
47 that it drew into, which is, I mean, it's 40. That's good.
Yeah, it's a lot of 8s too. I mean, I wanted to play
T-ids.
short, but I mean, I just kept a T. Like, what else am I going to do? I think I just got to... I mean, I figured you were going to bingo, so I was like, all right, just score and try to neutralize it.
Yeah, I think exchanging the Y or YE is not good enough because your
For me, you mean? No, I didn't.
your leave isn't potent enough.
I don't think so. Yeah, and giving up 28 points is a lot. So, yeah, I didn't really like that. You had some weird racks in the middle there too. Like this kept CBOZ.
Right. Yeah, I knew something was up there.
CABO. Yeah.
Yeah, I was already on E alert early because while you were tanking on Jivey, there was already 8 accounted for. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think I had 1 on my rack and there was 7 on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I have to do this. Like, it's just too many points. Yeah, vocabs maybe. I had GL. Maybe I should have played Boskage over here, but I was still down to tempo, so I liked keeping it more open.
Yeah, Boskage. I wouldn't have had much. I had Sundogs.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, maybe it's a little better. Get rid of the G. I don't know, but
I'm gonna check my Blink bingo rack. Tremor, because your remoter
Yeah.
is just remoter, right?
right. Yeah, remoters is no good. Yeah, no, definitely not. Orometer.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay. Yeah, it's the only other one I saw. Not that I looked. Ectomere doesn't do any better.
Yeah, peg box. That's a good one.
Yeah, I was just lucky that stayed open.
So let's see.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, when I played Blot, I could have played Deco there. For 32, leaving BGLN. But I was already
BGLN.
very much wanting to
So you
protect the E's.
So you had bludgeon without a U.
Right. Yeah, I was hoping you floated the E for belonged.
Or that, yeah.
I can only hope. But yeah,
I
drew what I
there's no
needed
business to float an E with that rack, that's for sure. Yeah, I could have played Zhao for like 16 more, but that would have kept ZCBV, which didn't feel palatable.
Yeah, that's ugly.
So I don't know. Yeah, really tough turns in the middle there. I don't know about Insol, but everything just felt pretty bleak.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to go for the blanks.
Yeah, I figure you're leaving 2 in the bag. I mean, maybe if I draw the blank and you have garbage, I could outscore you, but it's probably a long shot either way. Like if I draw the K in the blank or something, if I get a good out in 2, or even a bingo, it's just so hard to bingo with that pool.
So we got 72 difference?
Yeah. Did you submit it?
I did not. I got to go scan my QR code.
Okay. I can. I think I have it up, so I can take care of it.
All right. So as the scores are submitted, there was a 1-point delta there. Somebody, Joey lost a point. We have the score 408, 337. They have something slightly different. We're going to take a break. We don't have pairings yet for round 16. So while we wait for those pairings to get out, we will leave you guys briefly before round 16 of the 2026 Scrabble Players Championship. A great win for Joey Krafchick there. Almost feels like a necessary one, especially against the top seed. He was struggling a little bit. Now he's at most a game and a half behind first place after 15 rounds. But Mack Meller, having lost 4 games out of his last 5 yesterday, losing the first one today, he was he was not in great spirits after yesterday, but hopefully he can bounce back and win some games today and stay in the running. Anyways, Will, anything to say before we go briefly?
No, I was just going to say a lot of these big championship level tournaments, it boils down to when you hit that inevitable rough patch, how quickly can you stop the bleeding? And Mack's been there before. He is a previous winner of this event, and he has that makeup, that mental composure to weather the storm here but he does need to go on another winning streak very, very quickly. We'll definitely keep our eyes on that as we return to some of our top board games going forward, Josh.
Absolutely. You need to devote all of your positive energy to the games. And, if you have a bad day, wait till the end and then just let it all out. Mac took a drive yesterday just to relax and get out of his own head, and hopefully he's back in good spirits. It seems so, and maybe we'll see him later once he bounces back, hopefully. Anyways, we'll be back in a few minutes once we get the pairings up, and we will see you guys when that happens. Don't go anywhere. More Scrabble coming soon.